or some people like to go anonymous. Haribol.
First, I offer my unlimited obeisances in the dust of the lotus feet of my most worshipful Diksha Gurudev Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Astotra Sat Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada, and the same unlimited obeisances in the dust of the lotus feet of my most worshipful Shiksha Gurudev Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Astotra Sat Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj, to all of our Gaudiya Guru Varga and all the assembled devotees. So when is Rasikananda's appearance day? Is that today or tomorrow? Somebody can speak about that, because Srila Bharati Maharaj expresses many times that if we observe the appearance and disappearance days of the great acharyas, then all of our obstacles in bhakti will go away and all auspiciousness will come. And if we fail to do so, then all auspiciousness goes away and all obstacles come. So either today or tomorrow is Sri Rasikananda.
I'm just looking it up for you, Syamarani.
Okay, but we'll talk about Govardhana Anukut. First, who is Govardhana? On one hand, Govardhana is by Tattva, Krishna himself.
It's today. It's today.
Okay, so he is Rasikananda Prabhu is the most prominent disciple of Shyamananda Prabhu. We utter every day, Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Traya Ki Jai. Shyamananda Prabhu is one of the most prominent Shiksha disciples of Srila Jiva Goswami. Rasikananda Prabhu is the most prominent disciple of Shyamananda Prabhu. And because he went out of the smart regulations by giving initiation to so-called higher castes, he had many enemies. And I'm just going to speak for 1 minute on him, and then for the rest of the day. If you're connected with Srila Bharati Maharaj's Harikatha that he sends out, he gave a big lecture about Rasikananda Prabhu, and also in Srila Bhakti Vallabha Tirtha Maharaj's book, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and His Associates. There's a very big description of him there. But just one very short incident. His enemies sent out an elephant, a big, wild, angry elephant, to stampede him. And he threw some water on the elephant and made the elephant docile. And the elephant bowed down to him and became his disciple, just to show his power. So we're remembering him and praying for his mercy. So regarding Govardhana, Govardhana is by Tattva, Krishna himself. And Krishna showed that when Krishna was the pujari and offering all the Brajbasis foodstuffs to Govardhana, and to show that Govardhana was accepting it and relating to them, Krishna assumed a forearm form and sat on top of Govardhana, and first asked for more and then said, I'm satisfied, and he gave blessings to the Brajbasis. So Govardhana is by Tattva, non-different from Krishna, and Govardhana is also, according to the words from the lotus lips of the gopis and Srimati Radhika herself, he is Haridasa Varya, the greatest servant of Sri Hari, or Krishna, who steals away, Hari, steals away all of our inauspicious things, which by our conception may appear to be auspicious. So Srimati Radhika who is Krishna's Achintya Swarup Shakti, his all-accommodating, inconceivable, total spiritual energy. She is the complete servant of Krishna, and she gives power to all other of Krishna's associates and all beings to serve Krishna. So not only, and she's also, when the beginning of the Bhagavatam, Janma Dhyasya Yataha, that is the origin of all existence, is Adi Ras or Shringar Ras, which she's the presiding deity of. So she wants to serve Krishna in so many ways. So from her heart comes Giriraj, who turns his whole body into a mountain to facilitate the highest pastimes of Krishna with the gopis in his caves and kunjas, which are his body himself. On his body is the rasa dance platform playground that Krishna and the gopis dance upon. His body provides the fruits and the roots and the caves and the waterfalls, and his perspiration is the ponds. His hair standing on end is the grasses and the trees that Krishna enjoys taking the fruits from, climbing with his own lotus feet, climbing up and down the trees. And his becoming stunned, which is the last of the Astasattvika or eightfold ecstatic moods, is his becoming stone so that Radha and Krishna can feel undisturbed while having their most intimate confidential pastimes in his caves, which are full of kunjas and mirrors and drinks and everything in a natural palace. So he's a manifestation of Srimati Radhika's heart to fulfill the desires of all of Krishna's associates and Krishna himself. It isn't that because in the Govardhanastakam, it says that from Radharani's own lips, she proclaims Govardhan as the highest, greatest servant of Krishna. And yet in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita and the Srimad Bhagavatam, the gopis say that it's the gopis who say Giriraj is the highest servant. But it isn't that one is right. It isn't that Raghunath Das Goswami is right by saying it was Radha, and Sanatana Goswami and Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur are wrong by saying that it's the gopis. Gurudev reconciled this by saying Radharani is one of the gopis. So very easily reconciled. So Krishna wanted to glorify his greatest servant. So one day when he was a little boy of 7ish or so, he approached his mother and said, what are all these big preparations and festivities that you're arranging? And Mother Yasoda said, don't bother me, son, I'm busy. You can go and ask your father. So Krishna asked Nanda Baba, and he didn't want to tell Krishna because he didn't think Krishna would understand. And when you do something very important, you don't want to talk about it before it happens. You want to keep it a secret. So Krishna told his father, yes, but you don't keep secrets from your intimate family members. So he was so charming in his expressions that Nanda Baba told him all about the puja, and Krishna started speaking philosophy. You know, everything in the material world goes on by the modes of nature, and so does the rain. And besides that, Indra makes it rain even on the rocks and rivers where there's no need of rain. So whether we worship Indra or not, there's going to be rain. But if we really want to worship that personality who is really the nourisher of Vrindavan, the nourisher of our cows and calves, and us cowherd boys and girls and the elderly cowherd men and women, that would be Giriraj, because he's supplying everything that we need. He's supplying grasses, he's supplying for our cows, he's supplying the ponds that our cows bathes in. So let us worship Giriraj. So Nanda Baba was so enchanted by Krishna that he took all the paraphernalia and engaged that in the worship of Giriraj. And there were mountains of chapatis, mountains of pots of dal, pakoras, rubbery, all kinds of sweets, sweetmeats, drinks, big mountains of that, all placed all around Govardhan. And all the Brajabasis, they started circumambulating with their bullock carts, with their dancing and singing. And all the ladies were very well dressed in their best garments and ornaments, just for the pleasure of Giriraj Govardhan. And Krishna was personally the pujari. Krishna showed that he was personally Giriraj by assuming this giant form. And every year in Badger for about 14 or 15 years, since 1996, Srila Gurudev called for Giriraj from Goloka Vrindavan and to appear in Badger. He asked his host, Nanda Gopal Prabhu, are there any big rocks here? So he had this giant rock, which was like a hill, and he and his family got all the little rocks and put it around that rock. And then Gurudev did a ceremonial puja in 1996 to install Giriraj there. And ever since then, he's been performing Govardhana Puja in June, in the week that he would visit Badger. And during that week, he would have one of his disciples, Sridham, after Gurudev led the devotees in procession, following in the footsteps of the Brajabasis. Gurudev led us in circumambulating Govardhan. He led us in dipping our hands in the turmeric paste and worshipping the cow. Gurudev also had the devotees do arati to the cow, just as Krishna did. And then hundreds and hundreds of offerings were made and brought with a kirtan procession to this Govardhan. And then Srila Gurudev led the devotees in bathing Govardhan with, and you can also see the Audio Seva team just sent out a video for today of Srila Gurudev with thousands of devotees in India at Govardhan, bathing and performing the Abhishek ceremony, which consists of honey and sugar and milk and yogurt and what's the other? I forgot. Milk, yogurt, honey, sugar, ghee, thank you, very good. And ghee, and Gurudev's hands would go all over this large Giriraj Shila. And the same thing in Govardhan, in in New Braj. And then he led the devotees in singing, because Giriraj is non-different from Radha and Krishna, being in touch but non-different from Krishna and coming out of the heart of Srimati Radhika. Srila Gurudev would do the arati of Jaya Jaya Radha Krishna Jugala Milan and so many other mantras, and he would lead the devotees both in India and in New Braj. He would say, okay, repeat after me. Pramadarana Leela, and I'll just say the whole thing, but he would break it up into phrases and have the devotees repeat. Pramadarana Leela Kandare Kandare Te Rochayatam Navajanor Dandamasmin Namandam Itikila Kalanarta Lagnakastadayorme Nijanikati Nivasam Dehi Govardhanatam. Which means that, O Govardhan, in your caves and kunjas, you feel unlimited bliss, pramod, by being the intimate playground of the 24-hour pastimes of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. So I beg you to kindly give me residence at your lotus feet, not considering that I'm so wretched and unqualified. And there are two astakams to Govardhan, two Govardhan astakams, one by Srila Raghunath Das Goswami and one by Srila Viswanath Chakrabarti Thakur. And Gurudev, in all of his classes in Govardhan, he's quoting from one verse or another. In fact, one of the main verses that he quotes in Raghunath Das Goswami's prayer, Viswanath Chakrabarti Thakur's prayer, is that Giriraj became Manasi Ganga, and on Manasi Ganga, Krishna performed the boat pastime, disguised as a boatman, taking the gopis out on the boat so that they can bring their milk products to the other side. And in the middle of the boat, Krishna made the boat look like it's sinking by rocking the boat, swaying from one side to the other, and telling the gopis, look, your pots of yogurt are just too heavy. My boat is sinking. You have to throw them over. So they did that. And then he said, now you have to throw over your ornaments. They're too heavy too. And it just kept sinking. And Radharani became so scared that she very frantically held on to the neck of Sri Krishna. And there's one of those bas reliefs in Giriraj Govardhan Mat, Giridhari Gaudiya Mat, showing that when Gurudev saw that one, he imitated her expression of fear. Very good. This is exactly why Krishna performed that pastime. So Srila Gurudev urges us to sing all those verses of those two songs. But anyway, at the Anakut ceremony, he has us repeat this particular mantra. And then he said, then Sridham, his disciple, who's a very big devotee, he climbs up from the back of Govardhan and stands up dressed as Krishna, and he says, Triptosmi, Triptosmi. Now I'm satisfied. So now you, Brajbasis, I give you any blessing that you want. And so Nanda Gopal, who's playing Nanda Baba, says, just give our Lal, our little Krishna, long life and happiness. So then Gurudev says, so our only prayer to Govardhan is to give us Radha Dasyam. We have no other desire, no other desire, no other desire. So I'll end here and ask for questions.
Syamarani, thank you very much. That's beautiful. I don't know anything about, what was the person you spoke about at the beginning?
Rasikananda.
Rasikananda, yeah.
Rasikananda Prabhu, a very major important personality in our
And sometimes I'm
Gaudiya.
astonished, like I've been around for 6 years, you suddenly like, how did I miss that all these years?
Yeah.
Can you say a few more words about him, please? I really
Yes.
want connection.
Yes. Hold on 1 second. Let me get my phone and I can read it to you from Srila Maharaj. Unfortunately, I don't have my phone here because Vasanti took it. I wanted to read it to you. Hopefully, oh, Jiva, do you have my phone? She never gave it to you? Oh, and Madhav Maharaj never called? Okay, I'll find out what happened. But I think Vasanti has my phone and I need to read something on this Zoom call. She's right out there. Okay. Can I take another question first? And then we can come back to Rasikananda Prabhu?
Sure, absolutely. Balabhadra, did you have a question?
No, my question is just please don't stop talking beautiful things about Radha and Krishna and Gurudev and Prabhupada. My question is, please don't stop.
Please what?
His question is, can you please not stop talking about Radha and Krishna?
Oh, I see. Oh, I'll tell you something. I asked Gurudev a question about Govardhan when we were in Fiji, and I said, "Isn't it strange that Krishna would pick this tall mountain to be his playground? Like it's so steep." So, so Gurudev said, "You have no idea. Krishna can go from the bottom of Govardhan to the top of Govardhan in one step. It's not like a static." Thank you. If you want, you could hear, unless you have something to do. I'm going to talk about Rasikananda Prabhu. Okay, so let's see if I sent that out. Yes. It's not like a static thing. Like when Radharani is going to not fully. When Radharani is not fully. When Radharani is going to cook for Krishna in the morning, it may take a minute and it may take an hour to get there, depending on her moods of ecstasy and if she's fainting on the way, or there's nothing static there. Like, we go by bus from one place in Vrindavan to the other, and it takes X amount of time, but it's not like that in the world of reality. Everything is made of mood there. Okay, so regarding Rasikananda Dev Goswami, today is his disappearance day. He's the foremost disciple of Sri Shyamananda Goswami. It is our duty to glorify the Vaishnavas, especially on their appearance and disappearance days. By remembering them, we reflect on their pure teachings and conduct, and such remembrance eventually inspires and leads us to understanding very clearly how to follow the path of pure Vaishnavism. See, he accepted Diksha from Shyamananda Prabhu, who was born in a lower caste, and that's what gave him many enemies.
Uh-huh.
And then Srila Maharaj quotes, as per Mahaprabhu's instructions, anyone who takes to devotional service is exalted, whereas a non-devotee is always condemned and abominable. Therefore, in the discharge of devotional service, there's no consideration of status of one's family. To establish this truth, Rasikananda Prabhu accepted shelter at the lotus feet of Shyamananda. He faced great opposition and was accused of not being bona fide because of this, by taking shelter of a non-Brahmana. Generally, it was considered that only Brahmanas had the privilege to study the Vedas, and thus only they could deliver the true import containing them. So he swiftly counteracted all these baseless allegations by taking an astute philosophical stance. To counter the powerful influence of Rasikananda, his opponents hatched a plot to eliminate him by sending a mad elephant to attack him. Although the unalloyed devotees of the Lord possess all great qualities and mystic powers, out of their natural humility and modesty, they do not exhibit them. However, the Lord sometimes creates situations just to manifest the glories of his dear devotees. Thus, when the mad elephant charged at him, he had no choice but to exhibit his prowess. By merely chanting a mantra, he immediately subdued that wild elephant and transformed him into his surrendered disciples. I made a mistake about the water. Such was his power. Jagannath's loving reciprocation. Lord Jagannath. One time, Rasikananda had an intense desire to attend Jagannath's Rath Yatra festival. But for some reason, he was unable to arrive on time. In those days, there were 6 chariots that were deployed for the Rath Yatra because a river, it's funny, a river flowed at that time in the middle of the procession road. So they had 3 chariots on one side and then 3 chariots on the other side waiting for the Lord to be transferred to the other. The Lord was carried on a boat from one side of the river to the other, and then put on these 3 other chariots that would take them to Gundicha. So Rasikananda was delayed on the way, and he became so happy thinking, I may not get darshan of Jagannath in his wrath. So to reciprocate with him, Lord Jagannath forcibly stopped the chariot, not only for one day, but for many days, allowing Rasikananda to arrive. Despite the intense efforts of thousands of devotees, the chariot wouldn't move. Only when Rasikananda Prabhu arrived in Jagannath Puri and touched the rope of Jagannath's chariot did it begin to move. Such was the affection Lord Jagannath possessed for his unalloyed devotee Rasikananda Prabhu. I had darshan of Rasikananda Prabhu's birthplace by grace and mercy of Srila Bhakti Kumud Sant Maharaj. The Samadhi of Rasikananda Prabhu and his disciples is located in Ramuna, just behind Kirikshora Gopinath Mandir in Ramuna. You know Kirikshora Gopinath, right? He's the one who, Madhavendra Puri is another topic to discuss. Another topic to discuss on Anukut. You've already discussed the Anukut ceremony of Madhavendra Puri, I imagine.
No, we've discussed a lot about Govardhana, but not specifically Anukut.
Not the Anukut ceremony. And neither, but we went to, in the beginning, when we first came to Govardhana, a few days ago, we went to the place where Srinathji, the lifter of Govardhana, appeared to Madhavendra Puri, and we went to Jatipur. Have you all been following the Parikarama days?
Yeah.
So we went to Jatipur. Jati means sannyas, and Pur, of course, means village. So we went to the village of Madhavendra Puri and discussed read heard from Srila Gurudev how, and this is also explained in Srila Prabhupada's translation of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, Volume 1, Chapter 4, where Madhavendra Puri, who is he's the sprout of Madhurya Ras in our Gaudiya line. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in his line. Ishwara Puri, who is the disciple of Madhavendra Puri, was blessed by him to become the spiritual master of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Lord himself. So Madhavendra Puri came to Vrindavan, and he never begged. Generally, sages beg for the benefit, of course, of the residents, but he never even begged, and he wouldn't accept anything unless it was milk. So he was doing bhajan, and he would even fast for days, just absorbed in his bhajan, if nobody brought him anything without him asking. So one day a beautiful cowherd boy came to him and said, "My mother asked me to give you this pot of milk, and I'll pick up the pot when you finish." So then he was, pure devotees are never attracted to anyone of this world, but he found himself enchanted by this boy, couldn't imagine why. And then he drank the milk and felt ecstasy. And then he continued his bhajan thinking of the boy, fell asleep, and this boy appeared to him in a dream that night and said, "I am Gopal. This is my village. And I was installed by Vajranath, the great-grandson of Krishna, so many thousands of years ago. And then after some time, the Mohammedans attacked. And so the pujaris put me underneath the earth. And so for hundreds of years, I haven't eaten anything. And I'm so hot. My body is so hot. I've been wondering, when is Madhavendra Puri going to come and serve me? So then the next morning, when he awoke, he was astonished. And he called the villagers to bring all their tools. So they dug in the earth and found this beautiful deity of Gopal, also called Nathji, because now he's in Nathdwar and worshipped by the descendants of Balabhacharya in the mood of Vatsalya Ras, but originally he's the Shringar Ras deity in the Gaudiya line. So then Madhavendra Puri, he had no money, right? He only had a little cloth and a nothing. But still, Krishna ordered him to do this service of making him a temple, doing his Abhishek ceremony, and Madhavendra Puri did it. First by just a couple of stones for him to sit on, something for his back. All the villagers of Vrindavan brought sweets and chapatis and dal and fried foods, and there were mountains of it all around. And then Madhavendra Puri did the offering, and he alone saw how Krishna ate that plate and then returned. The foodstuffs disappeared and then reappeared as prasadam. So every night there was another village. Another village came, there was an Anukut ceremony, there was arti, chanting, and then for so many villages were performing this Anukut ceremony. And after a couple of months, and then everyone brought cows, and some rich Mathura merchants built a wall, and then gradually a temple was built. And after 2 months, Madhavendra Puri got another dream. He said, Gopal said, I'm still hot. Please go and get camphor for me, to camphor and sandalwood, and then put it all over my body so that I can cool down. So even though he never begged anything from anyone for Krishna's service, he walked thousands of miles to beg sandalwood and camphor, chandan and camphor. So then when he reached Ramuna on the way to Puri, Kirikshora Gopinath was there. That's why, because Rasagananda has his samadhi right by the Kirikshora Gopinath temple. So he saw that the pujari was bringing in kheer, and he thought, oh, if I could taste that kheer, and then I would know the recipe, and then I can offer it to my Gopal back in Vrindavan. Then he became so embarrassed, thinking, oh my God, I was thinking of tasting before the offering. And so he left. He left and went into the village. And then they did the arti and the offering. And that night, the pujari had a dream that I've hidden a pot of kheer for my great devotee Madhavendra Puri. He's hiding in the village. This was like in the middle of the night. So go and bring him the pot of kheer. So the pujari bathed and found the pot, surely was there. Then he went out into the village and he said, who is Madhavendra Puri, fortunate Madhavendra Puri? Kirchor Gopinath has given you this pot, and that's how Kirchor Gopi got his name, because chor means stealing. So he stole this pot of kheer for Madhavendra Puri, and so many other instances happened. So any other questions?
Yes, we have a question from Reuben in London.
From who?
Reuben.
Hare Krishna Mata.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for a beautiful katha. Please take my humble obeisances. All glories to the Vaishnavas. Just a question. When Lord Chaitanya gave Raghunath his Govardhana Shila, Raghunath Das Goswami, I was trying to understand, was he worshipped as Krishna or as Haridas Varya? Because you see in the prayers, he talks about him as Haridas Varya. In the offering, there's a Gunjamala representing Radharani and the Manjaris. Could you, with the experience and what you've heard, elaborate the understandings of these things carefully for our benefit?
Yeah, actually, funnily, I was wondering that myself. So let's find out. Jiva Prabhu, can you go and get a Chaitanya Charitamrita? What is the chapter? What is the chapter number about
I'm not so good.
Raghunath? When
other things. I just remember when I was reading it, I was wondering.
Yeah, me too, because following in the footsteps of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got that Govardhana Shila from one devotee who was coming from Vrindavan, Mahaprabhu, who was in Puri, he worshipped that Shila with his tears, sometimes putting the Shila on his head, sometimes on his eye, bathing the Shila with his tears, sometimes not finding any place. And so, Vasanti, can you look in folio and find the place in the Chaitanya Charitamrita where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave Raghunath Das Goswami the Govardhana Shila? Oh, there's a whole volume. Oh, yeah, it's heavy. And it might be easier even to find it on the folio. If you could hold on just 1 minute. And then, so Mahaprabhu gave Raghunath Das the Shila and the Gunjamala, which represents Radharani. And he told him to worship Giriraj with tulsi, the tulsi leaves and a tulsi manjari, which he was doing every day. But I also couldn't reconcile, because we know that Srila Raghunath Das Goswami worships Giriraj as Haridasa Varya.
His prayers.
Girinipa Haridasa Shreni Varyeti Namra Mrityamida Muritam Sri Radhika Vaktram Radhika Vaktra. Forgot it just now. Where's the songbook? Chandra Brajanavatila Kliptave Dire Sputame Nijinikati Nivasam Dehi Govardhanatam. So Haridasa Varya, Shreni Varya, the topmost greatest servant of Krishna. Raghunath Das Goswami is saying in his Govardhanastakam. So he certainly sees Govardhan like that. So Vasanti, I think, is trying to find that in folio just now. I'm also a bit perplexed because Radharani is also there. And Govardhan is Krishna, and then the Kunjamala is Radha. Let's see if she finds it.
How it fits together.
Yes, how it all fits together.
Yeah.
She's looking for it. In the meantime, if there's another question, we can take that. And then as soon as she finds it, we can come back. Reuben, to your question.
Okay, that's very kind of you.
Any other questions?
You have a question. Sorry, who's speaking?
I just wanted to say, could you just go through? So Giriraj is Krishna, and he's manifesting to please the desire of Radha. At the start of your,
I said he comes out of the heart of Radha to please Krishna and all of Krishna's associates.
But he's Krishna.
Because Radharani is she is Govinda Sarvasva. She's the be-all and end-all of Krishna. She is Govinda Anandani. She is the sole source of Krishna's pleasure. And if anyone else can give Krishna pleasure, it's due to her empowering them in that way, because Bhakti Devi is just a manifestation of her. And she's Krishna's all-accommodating, inconceivable, internal potency that manifests his form, his incarnation's form, his abodes, all of his pastimes, the jivas, and the material universe. So here, Vasanti, between Vasanti and Jiva Prabhu. Okay, so Mahaprabhu again bestowed his mercy upon Raghunath Das by giving him a stone from Govardhan Hill and a garland of small conch shells, which is actually Gunjamala. Previously, when Sankarananda Saraswati had returned from Vrindavan, he had brought the stone from Govardhan Hill and also the garland of Gunja. So Mahaprabhu put the garland of Gunja around his neck, and he would put the stone on his heart, to his eyes. He would sometimes smell it with his nose, place it on his head. It was always moist with the tears from his eyes. And he would say, because he's Radha, he would say, this stone is directly Lord Krishna. So he kept the stone for 3 years, the stone and the garland. And then, greatly satisfied by the behavior of Raghunath, he delivered both of them to him. And he instructed him, this stone is the transcendental form of Lord Krishna. Worship the stone with great eagerness.
So that would indicate that he's asking him to worship him as Krishna, or would that be incorrect?
Yeah. Well, he's continuing. Worship this stone in the mode of goodness, like a perfect Brahmana, for by such worship you will surely attain ecstatic love for Krishna without delay. For such worship, one needs a jug of water and a few flowers from the tulsi tree. This is worship in complete goodness, when performed in complete purity. With faith and love, offer 8 soft tulsi flowers, each with 2 tulsi leaves, 1 on each side of each flower. After thus advising him how to worship, Mahaprabhu personally offered Raghunath Das the Govardhan Shila with his transcendental hand. And then Raghunath Das worshipped this Shila in great jubilation. So Raghunath began worshipping the Shila, and as he worshipped, he saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, the son of Maharaj Nanda, directly before him. So when he was doing the puja, he did it with that mentality of Radha and Krishna.
And then reconciling with the prayers. Oh, sorry, Mata, please. Yeah.
Well, by tattva,
Yeah.
he knew the tattva, and he saw by his own realization that Giriraj is Krishna. At the same time, Giriraj is Haridasavarya.
It's like, from what you're speaking, it's like, you said, the thing that I noted is that Mahaprabhu's mood, he's like in the mood of Radha, so seeing Giriraj as Krishna,
Yeah.
object of his love, or as Radha's love.
Now, the objective of what? The objective of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in the mood of Radha.
So the object of love is Krishna.
And his objective of love is associating with Krishna and pleasing him and feeling separation from him when he went to Mathura. Raghunath Das Goswami is a maidservant of Radharani. So his objective is the service of Radharani. So now Swarup Damodar one day spoke to Raghunath as follows: offer the Govardhan Shila 8 kodi, I don't know what a kodi, worth of first-class sweetmeats known as kaja and sandesh. If you offer them with faith and love, they will be just like nectar. So then Raghunath Das began offering the costly sweetmeats, which Govinda, following the order of Swarup Damodar, would supply. So he thought in this way: by offering me the Govardhan Shila, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has offered me a place near Govardhan Hill. And by offering me the garland, he has offered me shelter at the lotus feet of Srimati Radhika. So in his prayers, the last line of his prayer, his Govardhanastakam, Nijinikati Nivasam Dehi Govardhanatvam. Please giving me shelter. Please give me shelter at your lotus feet. Please give me residence in those caves and kunjas. So in that way, does that help?
It does. No, thank you for.
Okay.
Thanks, Reuben. We've got time just for a few minutes. We've got another question from our sweet god brother in London, Balabhadra Prabhu. Bala?
Oh, I'm speaking the question. Okay. So the
Well, you're not normally shy, Prabhu, so.
Oh, I'm shy today. So the manjaris are, she's my mother. So the manjaris that are offered are all manjaris, and it specifies that there should be 2 leaves. Do we know what those 2 leaves represent?
I don't.
Oh, well, this is a nice meditation then.
Yeah.
Bala, you're going to need to find out and let us know tomorrow.
I wish. Well, if I see it in my samadhi, I'll let you know. Radhi.
It's a great question, though. It's a great question. Okay.
Is that it then? Shall we end here, or is there another question?
Syamarani, that was really, Syamarani, thank you so much. That was so beautiful. And I think, what date's today? 15th. We got 2 more. We got 2 more programs with you. So we're very lucky.
I'm lucky.
No, we're luckier. So today is, gosh, the days are sort of merging together, aren't they? So today's day 17. Tomorrow's day 18. Tomorrow is Monday. So we have our beloved Sripad Bhaktivedanta Nemi Maharaj at the usual time of 6 p.m. This was a one-off, the 2 p.m. because of Anukut and fitting in with the schedule in Texas. So looking forward to seeing everybody tomorrow at 6, which will be a lot easier for Manini, who's got up very early in California to join us. It'll be at a more reasonable time, Manini, tomorrow. And we have very nicely from Sweden, Subhadra Didi offered to do Sri Damodarastakam. So I will ask her to sing if she is there. I hope so. Didi, you there, Subhadra?
Yes, I'm here.
Wonderful. I'm handing over to you.
Oh, you mean now?
Yes, is that possible?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, sure. I'll just prepare. I thought to take my harmonium, but I'll check.
Wow, it's beautiful, beautiful, or winter rain in London.
Okay, so it's page 290 in the songbook, in case you would like to join.
Great, thank you.
Is the sound okay when I play harmonium? Is it okay?
Sorry, I had myself on mute. Yes, it's perfectly fine. It's good.
Yeah, it's just sometimes with the harmonium it gets really strange. So just...
Okay. Okay. Haribol, beautiful. Thank you, Subhadra. Thank you. Haribol.
Thank you, Haribol.
Oh, I just wanted to also thank Mandrilali from Switzerland, who is doing a lot of admin and sending messages out, helping live streaming on Facebook, posting on YouTube. So thank you so much for stepping forward, Mandrilali, and helping us. Haribol.
Thank you for engaging me, Haribol.
Dandavats. Haribol, you can unmute and gabble away.
Dandavats, everyone. Thank you for your